Now, it's time for our spoiler review of Argylle. You have been warned. There is a scroll at the bottom of the screen. If you would not like to have the film ruined by spoilers, please dip out now. Come back in about 10 minutes. Alan and I are going to...
Probably longer than that, but...
Might be a little longer than that, but if you see the warning...
You can mute and not read lips. That's another way.
You can mute, but oh my God, we actually gained people. Nobody left. Okay, so now we're gonna get into spoilers. Let's talk about the second half of the film. So we've seen Bryan Cranston is the head of this evil organization, the Directorate. Although it's really weird that like these super spies, like, why are they going like so out of their way to take down this organization? Like they could just walk away and go, you know what? Please just don't try to kill me. We're out. You know, we know you're evil, but they don't really, other than trying to kill them. Well, I guess that's pretty evil. They're not like, what are they? I don't get it. It hasn't been defined. Like, are they trying to stop something from happening?
They love to kill people.
It's a weird thing where
you never have loose ends.
It's a weird thing where if you look at how many people are killed in the movie, it's a lot, and it's played off like a laugh, like, hey, twist, crunch, twist, crunch. When Sam Rockwell's character is Aiden is trying to teach Ellie how to crush a skull, and it's the weirdest, and it's like played for laughs, and you're like, they're actually murdering people, security people with families and lives. But let's get into
that's what we call a trope.
Right, you know, right. Well, they're all, look, if they had hurt a cat, and there's a couple, that was the only time the audience gasped when Bryan Cranston's character goes over to the cat and shoves Alfie like off this area where he's about to look, this kitchen area, and like the audience went, oh, and then he like drops the cat. Like obviously it was a digital cat, but the audience was like, that was the only time the audience was like, oh, you know, you could just kill a bunch of people. The audience didn't care. But there's a moment in the middle of the movie where Ellie goes to London and her mother goes to meet her. Her mother and father go to meet her. And Catherine O'Hara as mom is there, and there's a turn. Suddenly mom has a British accent. What's that coming from? And then dad pulls a gun. And you see, as soon as
let's
no, go ahead.
The parents show up. Bryan Cranston, who is the evil director, is her dad. And
dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then her mom suddenly has a British accent and is trying to kill her.
Right. So it's all like these. So you're like, oh, okay, well, what's going on? So what you find out is this is the big spoiler in the movie. Again, your last chance to dip.
Yes. Who is Agent Argylle? Who is Agent
Argylle? Ellie is Agent Argylle. She was in a terrible accident.
After a botched job,
there's an explosion, terrible accident. Her memory is wiped to zero. And basically Catherine O'Hara's character, who ends up being her mom. Yeah, we were your mom and dad. She's then programmed because they want to find out. There's a piece of information she has. They have to find out what it is. So they program her to a completely different life, and they give her this journal with some notes. And she's going through the journal. She suddenly goes from a waitress to becoming an author of these spy novels. And she's basically just telling true stories that are in the recesses of her brain, leading up to this key piece of information they need. So Ellie and Aiden go to visit Alfie. Alfie's actually another character played by Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson is fine in this movie. He's better than he was in Secret Invasion. In any case, so they want to get, it's basically a list of everyone who's in this organization who's bad, right? The bad people. Oh, they're trying to get a list. Anyways, so Ellie suddenly learns as Aiden goes to punch her that she does that slap thing of like, dodging shots,
deflecting the punch,
the punches, and boom, boom, boom. And she realizes she's the spy. She is the spy she's been writing about. So it goes from Henry Cavill in the mirror to a vision of herself with kind of a more coiffed back. She's a badass with a gun. You see, Aiden like tells her about her life previously, that they may have been romantically involved, and that, in her previous life, the mousy version of her as Ellie Conway, her new name with the new parents. She's this fearful of everything. She doesn't fly. She doesn't even date. She's just this kind of mousy girl who's a bookworm who, is home on a Saturday night with her cat, right? But in real life, her previous life, she was this badass super soldier, like Gina Carano style, with a gun, taking people down. The one thing I'll say this, that I did actually, Bryce Dallas Howard has the physical frame where you could believe it. She's like a Gina Carano in terms of her. She's not like this skinny girly girl. So I
think you're building her up too much. I did not get that at the end when she does the Gina Carano stuff.
Right.
She does not look like a person who could do that. And let me bring this up. Let me ask you this question, because this is the thing that I walked away with this movie going to the car was this. It's a story about a woman who has great power and great potential, and throughout the whole movie, that potential is suppressed, and her entire story arc is to unlock these memories of who she really is, and at the end, she realizes by understanding who she really is, she unlocks her full potential. What other movie have you seen with that theme?
All of the girl boss movies.
Well, let's go specifically Captain Marvel.
Right. She's awesome.
This is the spy version of Captain Marvel.
Oh my God, you're right. It is. Yeah. It's the spy version of Captain Marvel.
Because she has no character arc.
Oh my God.
Unlocking her potential, her identity.
Right. Oh my God, Alan, you're right. I can't. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyways,
it's because believe me, my daughter and I, we had the discussion, the girl boss discussion at the end of this.
What did she say?
Well, we were literally at on different sides of this one, but my point was, I think we define girl boss differently. To me, it's just it's to be that kick-ass person without necessarily looking like you're a kick-ass person or having the physique of a kick-ass person. And let's be real. I'm coming off the weekend of the Royal Rumble, where you see women, 30 women in a ring wailing on each other, and so what women with power and strength have or do, and how they overcome how the weaker ones overcome the stronger ones. And so there's a reality that does exist that you can emulate, and I felt like that in this movie it didn't.
Right. Yeah, and then the third act. Okay, set aside the girl boss stuff for a second. The third act of this movie just goes off the rails. They go, now she's sort of fully unlocked as the super spy badass version of herself. They go to get this flash drive, which has the list.
Let me tell you when I checked out of the movie. It was the first dance kill number. The first.
No. Let's get to that.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to talk about that.
Okay.
So they finally get, they fall asleep. They're taken away to this like vessel. The flash drive is then destroyed, and they somehow escape in through the dumbest way that Sam Rockwell's character lives is so stupid. He's shot in the chest and he's fine. And then he's action badass for the rest of the movie. Mm-hmm. That alone is like, wait, what?
Yeah, but they explained that. They explained that that's possible.
It's possible. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
The other thing is that there's this scene where they all put on this gear. They've got these gas masks. They've got all these weapons, and they do what is effectively a dance number in the middle of a bunch of colored smoke taking out all of these security people with machine guns. And they turn it into a dance number where you see like a cloud of red smoke form a heart. It's so a chick flick action movie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's choreographed as a dance number.
It's choreographed as a dance number where like It's just so stupid. And they're doing these ice skating moves where basically Sam Rockwell is the chick.
Well, yeah, in the background of our image here is Dua Lipa and Henry Cavill doing the whirly bird.
The whirly bird,
where her crotch is up to his face and they're spinning. And they do it in that moment. And the way it's shot is so cringeworthy.
Yes.
It was these weird shots of close up of Sam Rockwell's face against Bryce Dallas Howard's crotch. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And it was at that moment where it was just like any goodwill I'm giving this movie was gone in this moment. And then it kept going.
It kept going. So then it's like after the gas mask, colored smoke dance number. It's effectively a dance number. Might as well have been they go into this area where there's oil suddenly is on. So this ground is cement. Oil gets all over the ground and it's incredible. Crude oil. But she used to be an amazing at ice skating. So she puts knives on the bottom of her shoes, which become ice skates. And she's like a hockey player with a knife because they don't want to have there be any sparks because a spark could light the oil on fire. So she's ice skating and taking out guys with her knife on the end of a gun. It is the dumbest. It's played for. First of all, that's not how ice skating works. You can't skate on cement. Just because it's slippery doesn't mean you can ice skate on it. It was ridiculous. And then by the very
that was the first of the real girl boss moments.
The super girl boss moment is she's ice skating and taking out all these guys, and it's super. And then like they're all concerned about like if there's a spark, this thing could explode, and it's like forget that, just shoot. They end up shooting anyways, and then nothing happens. Nothing bursts into flames.
Yeah, because crude oil is not that flammable.
And then
crude oil is not gasoline.
There's another dumb thing where Catherine O'Hara's character is like unlocking her from
the mind control.
The mind control using
an expert in mind control. That's one thing
she's an expert at mind control, and there's this little like ballerina song that like when she hears it, she turns into what is it? Her character's name is it Rachel Kyle? Which sounds like Argylle. Yeah. So she suddenly like changes sides every time she hears this. It's so stupid. I mean, look, it's kind of like it's kind of like Bucky Barnes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a little bit of that.
The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier, but it is so stupid. I wanted to punch myself in the face. Alan, anything. So once it gets to like the second half of the movie, it's just stupid and over the top in a way that no one could take seriously.
Yeah, that's why I said, because right up until that point, it is dancing that line between kind of fantasy and reality in terms of being, the story was semi-grounded in a Matthew Vaughn kind of way. But once it got into these dance numbers, it was less like this movie just stopped caring anymore.
Right.
And when the movie stopped caring, I stopped caring. Right. And like I said, there was a potential of a decent movie here had they just kept it grounded from that point out. It's like the end of Kingsman, when during the final kills, it just goes over the top. But I feel like in those movies, it had earned these endings. The part at the end of the first one where everyone's head starts exploding.
Yeah.
I mean, it earned that moment up into that part, and I just felt like it didn't do it even close in this one. And I felt like you have these two parallel tracks going. You have the story of Agent Argylle, which is kind of a fantastical story and told in a kind of a fantastical way, and then you have this grounded story of Ellie and Aiden and the real world of espionage. And I felt like by blurring the two, you made a very bad, weak movie.
Nicholas Vargo for $4.99 still loved it. That's the thing. Out of our group of like 20 people, I'd say 5 liked it. Like really liked it. They're like, they were just laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
I think if you're just like, it's, you know what? you're in the mood for dumb and you're not going to take the movie seriously, then I think you can enjoy this movie.
Yeah, but how did he get it right in the first Kingsman and the Kingsman versus this one? And I think you do have to play. There's that fine line between reality and fantasy, and sometimes he gets it right, and sometimes he gets it wrong. A lot of times he gets it wrong.
Well, Nicholas Vargo goes on to say, still loved it. Almost all of Matthew Vaughn's movies are cartoons, save for Stardust, which is his best. And this was in the same vein for me. I would say that's fair. Like, look, if you look on it like a cartoon, it is kind of cartoony because of the levels of ridiculousness. But any final thoughts on Argylle, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, up until that moment when the dance number started, I was of the mind of, this is not a bad movie. I can't hate this movie, and then I hate it now.